Hey, it's Brittany, owner of Milk and Honey Bartending, and you're watching Milk and Honey TV. I am a female for anybody that's watching this for the first time. I know I look probably like a dude, but it's cold in here, and I don't want to adjust the temperature because then it gets hot in the evening, so I just leave it where it's at and put on more clothes, basically. But anyway, another vlog. This channel is all things mobile bartending and all things as it relates to home and event bars and bartending lifestyle videos. I wanted to start this vlog off because to just basically give some more insight. Like, all of these vlogs and videos are really just to give insight. That's all I'm trying to do here. And recently I have been hired as Brittany, a bartender. Brittany, just the person Brittany as a bartender, not under the entity of Milk and Honey Bartending. So they didn't hire Milk and Honey Bartending. They didn't hire, my business. They hired just me to come in on behalf of their business to provide service for an event. So just me being Brittany, a bartender, is going to provide service for an event that is completely unrelated to Milk and Honey Bartending. So with that comes a lot of interesting things as far as what I'm noticing. I was told about this event a few weeks ago. Didn't really get a whole lot of details up front. I already know how that goes. A lot of times you don't really know until you get closer to the event date. So it was nothing for me to just be like, okay, yeah, I can do it, I'm available, and I'm happy to help. Now we're in the week of the actual event. It is a wedding, and I'm just now getting the details. One thing that immediately struck me was, one, that they were asking me, there's me and there's myself and one other person. And one thing that immediately struck me was the email that I was getting asking us how much alcohol to get. Now, the way that I run Milk and Honey, like, I don't leave that to any bartenders that help me. That's something that I do. I don't know, I just thought it was very odd for them to be asking us how much alcohol to buy, because you hired that company, you didn't hire us as the bartenders. I don't know, I just found it kind of weird for them to basically pass the responsibility onto us to work with the client to tell them how much alcohol to get. Like, I don't mind helping, but I don't know, I just felt like it was odd. I personally feel like it's the responsibility of the company that you hired. But that's not to say anything about the client, because they don't know that we're not a part of the company, that we're just helping. You know what I mean? Like they didn't share any event details with us. All I knew was, hey, there's a wedding at this time in this location, can you help? And I'm just like, okay, sure. And as far as I'm concerned, because of the way that I run Milk and Honey, I figured they had all the other, stuff figured out. They already knew how many bartenders they needed. They already knew what to tell the client in terms of how much alcohol to get and blah, 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 blah. I was just hired to show up. That was the impression that I was under. Now, fast forward to now, I'm learning that, I have to give input and insight on, what to get, how much to get, and all of these other things. And I'm just like, well, I don't even know any of the event details, so I can't really just tell you how much to get. And I didn't even know what we were serving. But anyway, learning what I learned, ended up giving suggestions. Oh, forgot this part. I also learned that there are going to just be 2 bartenders, and the event guest count is 600. Now, from there, I'm not gonna lie, I just kind of felt like, okay, well, and I'm not trying to talk shit about anybody, but it just immediately came across like doesn't really know what they're doing, because to have only 2 bartenders for 600 people is just that's just a recipe for disaster, kind of. Like, it's really setting up an environment for chaos, and just not a good time on anybody's part. The way that I think about it, it's 2 of us versus 600 people. They did mention that they are going to have like part of their family or somebody serving beer and wine, which I am 100% against. I do not think that that's a good idea. But as far as beer and wine are concerned, it's just beer and wine. So it's like, okay, it's one of those things where it's like not, it ain't a huge deal, but it's not something that I personally would do or even allow if somebody were to hire Milk and Honey bartending. The answer would be no. No, nobody needs to be doing that. You hire Milk and Honey. We handle all alcohol, mainly for insurance and liability reasons. I don't know what they have going on their end. So it's like, okay, well, if they can do that, then I guess they can do that. Again, I'm just hired as a bartender to help with an event. This is not on behalf of Milk and Honey. So it's just one of those things like, well, if that's what y'all want to do, y'all go ahead. But I don't have nothing to do with that. Is the way that I'm kind of having to look at it. Because, I mean, for me to jump on board and to start giving all this insight and start doing all of this stuff, I know too, I got to be real careful about giving advice and opinions on things, because so I'm basically trying to like tread carefully here about like saying like, hey, I don't think that that's a good idea, or hey, like I think we should do this, and blah 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 blah. It's one of those things where I really just don't know what to do. So I'm just gonna see. And however it works out, it works out. But if they, have in their agreement that that's what they want to do as far as, non-bartenders serving beer and wine, that's their business. I don't know. But as it pertains to cocktails, and knowing what I know, especially about like weddings and stuff, they're going to be helpful serving beer and wine, but most people are going to opt for those cocktails. If you haven't seen the video on how much booze to buy, I mentioned how, beer and wine typically go ignored, especially at weddings. Most people want those cocktails. They're doing shots. For this particular party, we're doing mules for a signature and like a specialty mojito. I think it's we might be doing classic. It might be a little bit of both, classic and then a passion fruit mojito. But regardless, most people are gonna opt for those cocktails. So 2 bartenders for 600 guests, and they're estimating 75% of their guests are going to consume an alcoholic beverage. Most of that 75, I'm looking at most of them still only drinking cocktails. Some of them might do beer. Some of the dudes might do the beer. Some females might do beer. A few of them might choose beer if and when, because I really feel like this whole line situation is going to be a problem because it's just 2 of us. They're going to go to beer while they wait down the line for the cocktails. Yeah. So learning that it's 600 people for 2 bartenders, I'm just like, I don't even see how I just don't see how that makes sense to anybody to do that. Upon learning that it was going to be 600 people, I asked if there was going to be a bar back. That question has since still been unanswered, but I don't think people aren't taking into account all the things that are necessary to provide service for bartenders. We need ice, we need restocking of stuff. Like, these things get used up, and the last thing you want is a large party and one of your bartenders disappearing because we need to stock more ice. We need to get more mixer. We need to do this. We need to do that. We need to get more cups. Yeah, there's certain things that you can, and again, I don't know all the details, so ultimately I'm gonna see. But what I started to say was, like, depending on the setup, I don't know what the space is like. So we could very well just have all of this stuff done. But at the end of the day, I just know what I know. I know what I know. And you can fully stock your bar from the beginning, but those things are we're going to use all that stuff. So we're going to need somebody to help replenish all the stuff that we use. I'm realizing these are things that people either just genuinely don't know, or for some reason aren't really thinking through. I'm not really sure what the case is, but yeah, we got 600 people coming our way. And then even so, you factor in the 75% of drinking guests, the other 25% are still going to come to the bar again. I don't know what their setup is like, so I really can't like say absolutely what's what, because they could very well have somebody separate doing non-alcoholic options. They could very well be having us strictly do only hard liquor stuff. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter because it's still only two of us. It's still only two of us. So I'm really interested to see how this is going to play out. I mentioned it. Hey, it's 600 guests. It's only two of us. Like, well, what's the deal? Like, I need basically some more detail in how this is going to go. And they just basically hit me with the 2 bartenders, 600 guests. That means more money. And I'm like, I appreciate it. I appreciate it. And I get it. But it's not for me. I think this is where really I differ when it comes to this bartending stuff, because it's not just about the money for me. Like, if I'm going to do something, I want to do it at my best. Like, I'm not just here to show up and make drinks and just be sloppy and just do whatever and then just make money. Like, that's just not my vibe. Like, that's just not what I'm doing over here. Like, I don't know really how to explain it. It's just more to me than just showing up, making some money, and then going about my business. That's just not how I operate. It's just not who I am. Yeah, I got hit with basically we make more money only splitting tips between the two of us for 600 people. And though that sounds very appealing, I'm looking at the other part of the spectrum like, okay, well, if you don't have certain systems in place, that also affects your money. If your bartenders have to disappear to restock things or whatever, that slows down service. That aggravates guests. That affects tips. Don't nobody tip when they pissed off. People tip when they happy and having a good time. I mean, ultimately, it just depends on the person, because people can be having a good time and just be cheap as hell and just not tip, but that's a whole nother story. But, I say that to say it's not, like, it's more, like, to make money requires more than just, for me, and I've seen it. If I go to a bar or an establishment and, well, let me rephrase it, because it's not me, because I know better. So for me to see a bartender working by themselves, they don't have a bar back, they are kind of all over the place, the bar's unorganized, and I basically see them working really hard, I can kind of guess what the situation is and why it's going like that. So I tend to have a little bit more patience when it comes to waiting for a drink and stuff like that, because of the nature of the business that I'm in, and I just fully understand their experience. However, somebody that has no idea what a bartender does, and they're just literally out just trying to enjoy a drink with their friends or whatever, they can very, very easily get agitated, pissed off, whatever, about the fact that the bartender's slow, the bartender keeps disappearing. Mainly those two things is what I've noticed. And based on my experience, if your bar is not set up properly, it's not a good time for anybody. It's not. The bartender is stressed out. The guests are irritable, and it's just not a good time. So yeah. And then from there, I'm looking. So because they asked us for a liquor list or suggestions on how much alcohol to get, I was just kind of like stuck and not really sure how to respond, especially because I had so many questions. I didn't respond right away, but the other bartender, she did. And, she had her suggestions and opinions about things, which some I agreed with, some I did not. But so then I responded this morning. ultimately responded this morning. I actually included the link to the How Much Booze to Buy video just to help them get some insight on, hey, like it's not just as simple as 75% guests are drinking. How much alcohol do we get without one, at the very least, telling us how many guests, because they didn't even mention how many guests, honestly. And I honestly have not even received the details of when service officially starts and when last call will be and service will end. I ain't even mentioned the part about the fact, like, who's cleaning up all this shit? We got 600 people, 2 bartenders. I know they don't expect me to clean all that shit up. I don't know, we gonna see though. I responded today, this morning, just to receive and then I received a email back with their liquor list already in place. Now me, I'm always about, do not buy those handle bottles of booze. They're heavy and difficult to handle, especially when serving a large crowd. You know, those handles, like, one, they don't fit the pour spouts that go on top of the bottles. Hold on, these things. These things, like, they don't fit those big bottles like that. They don't fit those big bottles. I mean, I'm sure that they probably at this point have designed some that might fit, but the standard pour spout does not fit those. And you usually have to, well, what I've done is take a beverage napkin and wrap around it to make it fit down inside the thing. But usually you got to keep replacing that because the alcohol ends up making the napkin soggy, and then it just ends up spilling out through the sides and stuff like that. So yeah, that's one reason why I tell people to stay away from those big bottles, because they do not fit these pour spouts. And these pour spouts are a very efficient tool when serving. One, for me, I'm a counter. I don't typically use jiggers when I make drinks, mainly because I'm serving large crowds and I'm getting these drinks out quick. I don't have time for that jigger shit. I don't have time for that. So I count my pours. That's the way I learned to bartend, and that's just the way, I just find it more efficient for me. When I need to use a jigger, I'll use a jigger, but typically, if I can put on a pour spout, if I can slap a pour spout on the bottle, I'm good to go. We easy day, free flowing service out here, okay? But yeah, so those things are necessary to count your pours or to measure your pours, basically. You can use a jigger, but again, with those large handles, you go to pour into a jigger. Let me show you what a jigger is. Hold up. Okay, you go to pour into a jigger. This is a 1 ounce side. This is 2 ounces, and then on the inside, all jiggers are different. It just depends. But this on the inside, it'll give you like the 1.5 ounce measure, and then in here you have 1/2 ounce and 3/4 of an ounce. So I mean, this is a measuring tool as well. But for me, it's just, I like to pour with 2 hands. So when I take my bottles with the pour spouts on them, when I'm making multiple drinks or when I'm making 1 drink, whatever, for efficiency, we got to use 2 hands. Ain't none of that 1 hand shit. It just takes too long. Don't nobody have time for that. Everybody's coming to party and have a good time. Last thing you want is to be standing there waiting for a drink. Anyway, I use 2 hands, so I like pour spouts. The jigger situation, like you pour into the, I just feel like it's just so unnecessary. You pour into the jigger just to pour it into the cup when you could just pour straight into the cup if you know how to count, if that makes sense. So, but yeah, so with the large handles, like we can pour into the jigger, but it's so heavy and difficult to handle. Like the damn thing's so heavy, when you go to pour, it's like you really have to take your time to not over pour on the jigger, because you'll end up with stuff spilling out the side and stuff, and then you trying to dump into the cup, and it's just a mess. It's just a mess. So those large handles, like I said, they're difficult to handle. It affects the speed of service, and it just adds to certain levels of chaos, in my opinion. And I completely avoid them at all costs. They're cool if you want to stock your bar for at home or something like that, but to provide for a bartender, to serve to a crowd, serving a crowd, I will always suggest staying away from those. So it's gonna affect your event. I'm telling you, it affects it every time I see it. Every time I see it, people don't listen. They end up getting those big handles of alcohol, and I totally get it. It's more cost effective. It's it's easier to transport in terms of like you're not moving a whole bunch of boxes and stuff like that. But ultimately, it just depends on the person. If you don't care, then anything I just said, everything that I just said just doesn't even matter. It just doesn't even matter. But if you prefer a more organized environment where bartenders can do more than just make drinks, because it's more than just standing there mixing these drinks. These people come up talking to us. They got all these questions. What you doing? Where you from? Who is this? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, bruh, like I'm sitting here trying to make all these different drinks, measuring, holding this, making sure I don't spill and hold up, and you got the question over here, and oh, somebody spilled something over there, and it's just like, it's so much that goes on that I don't even think majority of the population even realizes. It's crazy. I know I just went on a random tangent just there. It meant something, but I just randomly like started talking about all this other stuff. But they all matter, and they all factor in why I say what I say. So anyway, back to looking at their list, because I'm looking at it right now, and I actually need to hurry this up because I got milk and honey clients waiting for me. But yeah, they ended up buying the handle bottles. They got 1.75 liter bottles. And from the looks of it, yeah. Like you can tell, like I had nothing to do with this list, because even the red wine, like they got, what? I don't know what this means. I don't know, but it looked like they got a lot of wine. And we gonna see. Y'all know how some of y'all know how I feel about the wine. Or not even feel, it ain't even about how I feel. It's an actual fact. I've seen it time and time again. Every event that I've done over the 8 years that I've been mobile bartending and the 10 plus years that I've been in bars and restaurants. Bars and restaurants are a different story because it's a bar and restaurant. It's just a different story. But when it comes to private events, over the 8 years that I've been doing this, like, nobody drinks the wine. Nobody drinks the wine. It might be one person that drinks wine. Maybe, but again, it all depends. Anyway, yeah, child, I'm just looking at this list like, so yeah, they got 1.75 liters of all the alcohol that they got. It looks like we will most likely run out of the signature cocktails because they only got 4 of white rum. 600 people. Now, it really just depends. I know with milk and honey events, when we do signature cocktails, that's what people choose. Like, that's just the vibe, hands down. Nobody's really dabbing into the other options unless or until we run out. Now, there's a certain par set. I'm not like, because there's been too many times where we're leaving with a whole bunch of mix. So there's enough for everybody to enjoy. But with milk and honey, once we run out, we run out. But there's, the added option of doing something like a vodka soda, gin and tonic, something like that, blah, 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 depending. But with this, I'm not really sure what is going on here. Looking at it, we will most likely run out of the signature cocktails, but like milk and honey is fine because there'll be other options for people to choose from. But just looking at the alcohol itself, like it looks like we're gonna run out of like the actual alcohol. So even if we were to run out of, say, the ingredients for the signature cocktail, we wouldn't even be able to turn around and make a rum and coke or something like that, or dark and stormy. They do have 7 bottles of Tito's, which should be okay. But then they also have like tequila and whiskey and scotch and gin. I mean, everybody's not going to drink the same thing. So that's obviously a plus. But ultimately, like, this is looking like we're going to run out. And this is just looking like it's just going to be chaos. I don't know. I just really feel like I'm just gonna mind my business. I'm gonna just do what I'm hired to do, which is to show up and bartend and do my best and work with what I have. That's what I can do. You know, the other bartenders suggested that they get things like razzmatazz and triple sec and what else did she say? Something else. But when I seen that razzmatazz, I was like, it's gonna be a no for me. It's gonna be a no for me. But ultimately, I mainly say that to say, like, it's 2 bartenders for 600 people. To get in trying to do other cocktails in addition to the signature cocktails, building the signatures and stuff, and the way that drinks should be made, the way that I make drinks, it ain't gonna be no time for any other cocktails. We can do the very simple, and what I suggested was, before, you know, they sent me this list, I was suggesting that, you know, the focus be the 2 signature cocktails. We can also do margaritas just for that tequila option and just that extra option. But it's best to keep it simple. Rum and Coke, gin and tonic, if they were to provide gin, because not everybody likes gin, it just depends. Bourbon and colas, stuff like that. But yeah, so we just gonna see. I just wanted to share that because I'm going to do my best to actually vlog this event. Just for insight and just to show why I say what I say, because unless you see it, it's like you're not gonna understand what I'm saying. Unless you're a bartender and have had these experiences, you know what I'm talking about based on your own experiences. But people that have no idea what I'm even talking about, this is for you, okay? Watch the video and we're gonna see what happens. I'm gonna try to vlog it though, so hopefully me recording this right at this moment in time will even make sense come the wedding on Saturday. Okay, so some time has passed and I get more emails. I believe it's the groom, I'm not sure, but he was saying that he forgot something on the list, so he included, was it 20 bottles, 750 milliliter bottles of cognac. He said it's for the old heads. I was cracking up. But then I see another email from the other bartender. I'm not really sure like what her perspective is in terms of why she's suggesting what she's suggesting. But ultimately for me, like, I'm just looking at it like, okay, it's 2 of us against 600 people. Yeah, it's gonna be people serving beer and wine. But like I said, most people are gonna opt for those cocktails. It's us against them, essentially. I feel like maybe she's not considering that for some reason. I'm not really sure. But she's also suggesting that they do a variety of flavored vodkas and some flavored Crown Royals and Kahlua and an Irish cream. And I'm just like, okay, the Kahlua and Irish cream I can get with as like an after dinner option because that'll be later in the evening for service. But to get into flavored vodkas and Crown and all of that, like, it's just, plus the liqueurs and all of that. And maybe it's the way that my brain works. I don't know. But I see so many possibilities. So that's why I'm just like, it's just too much. It's just too much going on. You don't need all of those options. Because at the end of the day, too, when you consider all of these options, what people don't understand is like, when you see what's available, you tend to get curious about what's available, especially those that don't drink or don't really drink like that. They see something that they've never seen before. Guests will come up to the bar and then they get curious. Ooh, what's that? Ooh, never had that. What does that taste like? It just comes with all of these questions, what ultimately affects service. Why? Because they're standing there asking all these damn questions with a line full of people behind them, and it's just me and her to tend to whoever we tending to. And it's just like, ma'am, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for all of these questions. Because then you got somebody in the line that thought they was gonna just go grab a drink right quick, irritated at me because I'm taking too long. Meanwhile, I got Susan in front of me asking 1,000,001 questions about what's what. Oh, never had Crown whiskey before. What does that taste like? What goes well with that? Would you mix it with ginger beer? How about a little bit of cranberry juice? But I like it sweet though. Can you make it sweet? Yeah, sure, I can do that. But I don't really like brown liquor. Let me stick with tequila. And then her friend next to her, would you drink tequila? You wanna do tequila shots? And then meanwhile, while they're standing there having this conversation, I'm gonna just go ahead and like try to help the next person. I'm like, all right, next person. No, wait, we ready. Wanna do tequila shots? Okay, so let's do 2 shots of tequila and we'll do a tequila soda and lime. All right, boom, make the drinks, ready to move on to the next person. Meanwhile, there's also the option of like being able to take multiple orders at once, but sometimes, at least for me, when it's so much going on, especially when people have so many questions, I gotta kind of focus on that one person depending on the situation. But then anyway, I go to make the drinks, and she, could I have more lime? Could you take out some ice? Could you add more ice? Just 2 cubes of ice. Like, don't nobody have time to be with all those options, shorty. Keep it simple. Like, set yourself up for success. Otherwise, it's just a whole lot of stress unnecessarily. I don't have time for that. Now, I feel like, I don't know, maybe it's her effort to be helpful, which I can totally understand. I'm not really sure, you know, what her perspective is in terms of like, why she's suggesting that they get so much. Probably at the fact that it's 600 people, but from my perspective, because it's 600 people, keep that shit simple. Keep it simple because it's only 2 bartenders. Like I said, I asked if there was a bar back. He didn't clarify if there were or weren't going to be a bar back. I'm considering the fact that we're going to have to get ice, restock as needed. You know, the time that it takes to open bottles in some cases. Like, I'm a high volume bartender. Like, and one thing I know about high volume, you gotta get to the point. Ain't nobody got time for all of that. Like, the fact that we're doing mojitos, like, she did suggest lime juice. So we're not like muddling or anything like that. Well, I don't know what her intentions are, but my intention is to not muddle a damn thing. Nobody has time for that. Like, for anybody, that shit used to irritate me more than anything. For anybody to go into a full bar, a busy bar, and order something like a fucking mojito, it just do something to the soul for me as a bartender. I'm just like, are you fucking serious right now? But some people, like, they don't even know. They don't even realize, like, hey, it takes this to do a mojito. All they know is that they want a mojito. So it took for me to figure out, okay, they want a mojito. I know I don't have time to do what it takes to make a mojito the classic way. So just give them the flavors that they want. Basically, at the end of the day, is all you need to do. You don't need to sit there and muddle and all of that. So she's suggesting all these options, and I'm just on a completely other side of the spectrum here. Like, no, please don't do that, sir. Like, not just for us, but for the sake of your event and for the sake of your group and your party, do not do that. Don't do that. I'm just trying to tell you. She's trying to make mixed drinks too, or mixed shots too. That's another thing. She's like, yeah, especially if we're gonna be doing shots. I'm like, you mix your shots? We do straight tequila over here. I'm just saying. All right, so that's just like a whole lot of work for no reason. Like, unless they have pitchers, dispensers, something where we can pre-batch some things or something like that, and just kind of, you know, just pour into a cup, whatever, then okay, I can get into the groove of having all of these other different things. But ultimately, it's just like, I just keep looking at it. It's 600 people and it's 2 bartenders. I don't know what about that to anybody else makes sense, but for me, it makes 0 sense. I get the fact that, yeah, we only got to split tips 2 ways, 600 people, but needless to say, we're gonna earn every dollar we get, because holy shit, that's just not, it's a lot, but we gonna see.
I need you to go to Costco and see if they have a lime juice.
There was none there because I walked up and down and I found lemon juice. Did not find lime juice at all.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
God, dude, he freaking always does this. No, we don't need mixture. You guys go to.
I can drive. No, wait, no. Give him my car. Give him my car. Is he a 4Runner? What do you want?
Get this. Get the real line. These.
Real line.
Yeah, why is this so special?
Restaurant Depot. There's nowhere else you can get it.
Just get like 6 of them. Okay?
Hello. Hey guys. You guys want to start drinking?
Yeah.
What are we drinking?
Not yet. Not yet.
I don't know.
Not yet. Not yet. Settle down.
Are you serving now?
You guys want a beer? We'll get you a beer.
Yeah, beer and wine right now, I think.
I'll have a wine.
Red wine?
Red wine.
We don't have cups here yet.
Oh.
Hey.
They bring all of their own.
Got everything here.
You did? You brought it off?
Bar's not open. I'm over here talking like the blue ball now.
You got the girl Moscow Mule.
As soon as we can get cups and everything.
Don't worry. How did you get all of this? It's all a family effort. I can see, yes. Everyone helping. Yes.
They're not gonna do that. I get started on.
Okay, so I'm gonna try to record this real quick because like I'm working on 15 minutes and it's literally 600 people and 2 bartenders. Like soon as I walk in the door, one of the guys go, 2 bartenders, 600 people, you guys are ambitious. I was like, sir, I had nothing to do with that. I promise you. Like, it's crazy. And we're still waiting for cups. Everybody's like trying to, I'm like undressing, but this is the fastest way to do it. Everybody is like coming in and already asking for drinks. We're still waiting for cups. I got here 30 minutes sooner than the details told me to. One of the guys, the nephew, he called me saying like, hey, where are you? Are you at the restaurant or whatever? And I'm like, no, it told me to come at 6. He was like, well, we start at 6:30. I'm like, well, I know that, but the thing told me to come at 6. So I'm thinking like, they have everything figured out. So I just kind of like, was minding my business, but child, no, they don't have anything figured out and they were expecting me to do it all. But anyway, I am dressed. Let me go. I will try to get some of the wedding. It's a Vietnamese wedding. So I'll try to get some of the wedding. I left my tripod, so I can't just like sit my phone and my camera anywhere. But I will try to check back in when I get a chance. So wish me luck.
Out into the lobby as well. Once again, we can get all the party, flower girl, root beer out to the hallway.
Thank you.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
Where's the real ice cooler here?
Theo đến từ Boston. Xin mời em Thu Hà đến từ Boston. Xin mời em Bình và vợ Phượng đến từ Boston. Xin mời em Nguyễn.
Okay, so The wedding, that whole situation ultimately turned out to be pretty lit. Yeah, it was definitely not what I expected. I mean, they were unorganized and not really prepared, and I needed to arrive early and stuff like that, earlier than what they told me to arrive at. But I mean, it went well. I feel like ultimately it was because like myself, and I feel like I can refer to her by name now, Marissa, like, in short, we killed that shit. Like we killed that shit. Two of us, 600 people. We had the groom's nephew, I believe, and then it was another guy that was like helping us out. But for the most part, like, me and her, we had it. Like, we had it. It was actually at a restaurant, and people that work for the restaurant, they were there to help us with like the bar back duties. So things like getting ice and emptying the trash, we had their help with. Excuse me. It is 12:33. We got out of there by 11:15-ish, and I got home around like 11:30, like 11:45. So I just wanted to do like a quick recap real quick because I had to wash my face and then go to bed because I'm beat. I've been up since 5 a.m. and it's just been a day. It's just been a full day. But yeah, so it was funny too because like when I initially walked in, the nephew, he was like, "Oh, you guys are ambitious. 2 bartenders, 600 people." I was like, it was so hard to explain because it's just like, bro, I don't have anything to do with the fact that it's only 2 of us with 600 people, because I would never in a million years suggest such a thing. I would definitely have at least 4. But anyway, I mean, I really have nothing bad to say about the situation. Like, it just worked out. Like, it was cool. Like, it was a hustle, and I loved it because it reminded me of when I, used to bartend like the club nights and stuff like that. I honestly kind of miss like that kind of like that grit and that hustle. We made good money. For me, okay money. I personally feel like we could have made more had everybody tipped, basically. But it kind of like evened out if you consider like the people that like did tip versus the people that didn't tip. We definitely could have made more. I'm not complaining. It's just we did all right. We did all right. And yeah, working with the other bartender, like she was dope. She held her own, honey. And that is one thing I can truly appreciate. It wasn't no attitudes, it wasn't no complaining. It was just us doing what the fuck we had to do and getting it done. Like, it was awesome. It was awesome. I do not have like a full-on recap. Maybe tomorrow I get some sleep, I will be more like, I was trying to record it right now while I had everything fresh in my head, but I honestly just feel so good about the way that the night went. Like, they were turned up, they were partying, they were friendly, they were respectful, they were nice, it was just a good time. It was just a good time. And yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about it. I really don't. I mean, there's things here and there that I would change, but ultimately we worked it out. We managed in the areas in which we needed to manage. And I mean, we got it done. It wasn't, I was about to say a whole lot of whining. It wasn't any whining. I'm just kind of used to that, to be honest. It was definitely a good time to work alongside another bartender that's just like she just with it. She was just with it. I was just like, thank you, God, thank you. And maybe tomorrow, like I said, like I was started to say, after I get some sleep, I might have more. As it stands right now, like I'm satisfied with the way that the night went. We got out at a decent time. It went by quickly because we were busy the entire time. We had periods of like intermission where we like took breaks. We were able to grab some food and stuff like that. Yeah, it was just a good time. So I did my best to get some footage. I didn't have my tripod, so I wasn't able to film like actual service, because I did want to give some insight on why I say don't provide those handle bottles of booze, and you know, just why I say certain things. But at the end of the day, like I said, we made it work and we did what we had to do, and it was just a good time. But I'm gonna wash my face and go to bed because I cannot hang. I can't hang. So I will either holler at y'all tomorrow with a real recap, or I will holler at y'all in the next one.